welcome, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me now and hear me well. All right, let's get this started. Officially, welcome to the first ever Oxford, Inclusivity Award. I wish we could be presenting this from a big and lovely stage. However, we have the greatest venue in all of existence, my bedroom. But anyway, the Oxford, Inclusivity Award. We brought this award into existence to help encourage authors, publishers, and editors to do more work in uplifting marginalized authors so their stories can be told. This year, just because it was year one and we had a little bit of a time limit when we kind of had this awesome idea, I managed to help arrange a committee of three people who are working within furry and furry writing in general to help us find some nominees for consideration and come to a final vote. In future years, hopefully, we'll be able to allow public nominations and things like that, because that would be awesome. But for now, gotta get things kicked up. So, just so you know, we had, of course, three panelists, basically part of a committee here to sit down and work on this so you can understand that we didn't just throw random people together. One of our first members of the committee is Cedric G. Bacon. He is a BIPOC editor and operator of Thirst and Howl Press. He has obviously had his work featured in many anthologies. You should check some of his stories out, they are marvelous. And of course, working in one of the major furry publishers, he has been an active part of the furry writing community for years. Our second member of the committee was Reiner. They're a writer who also hosts the What's the Fuzz podcast. The podcast features interviews with furries of color, where they are open, raw, and real about their feelings on the fandom and other topics. It was awesome to be able to get someone like that to be a part of this, who's very interconnected in the community in other ways, even. And finally, there's me. Hi, I'm presenting the panel for a reason. I'm Linnea Capps. I'm the current president of the Furry Writers Guild. With my job in trying to promote furry literature in general, I'm kind of lucky to have this connection where I get to talk to authors and editors and see what all these publishers are all getting up to. So we all came together to come up with three nominees. I see nominations on the screen. Lovely. But before we discuss the nominees, I need to give a big thank you to my fellow committee members, of course, for their work in making this happen. It was awesome to have this team come together and find some great names and do some looking around to really find some wonderful people to consider for the award. I'm also, unfortunately, going to have to express nominations. Don't put our names over the nominations. I'm just seeing on the screen. Um, those are the committee members. But I'm gonna have to express a little sadness. I really, really wanted a trophy to be able to show everyone. COVID-19, getting something engraved, custom, and getting it done special. Well, you know how it goes. Everything is slowed down right now, and things are a little bit different. But what can you do? Um, I promise though, as soon as we can, we're going to show off this fantastic award when it gets to its winner, who of course you'll hear about in a tiny bit. Just so you know a little bit about how it looks, go into imagination land for a moment. We have a custom paw-shaped engraved trophy made of glass. I love that so many of our furry writing awards are plushies, but we really wanted to make this something very special that if you see this on a shelf, you are going to notice and ask questions. People who win this award or are nominated or anything else whatsoever, I absolutely want them to be able to feel proud of this. And I hope that this can become a yearly tradition and we can keep pushing forward to uplift these marginalized voices. But let's be fair, you're not here to hear about the award itself. You want to hear about the people who got nominated, right? So, let's talk about our nominees. Our first nominee, you just heard from her in the last panel, is Casey Alpenis. Casey Alpenis is a Black author and editor that has done a lot of work within the fandom. This year, she helped organize interviews for the Furry Writers Guild so that we could do author spotlights during Black History Month. It was wonderful, and she had resources and the ability to do things that there is no way I could have done on my own. And I am so glad that she went out of her way to do a lot of work to help us make that happen. Well, that's not all. She was also the lead editor of Claw Volume 1, a project that she herself basically spearheaded to help bring to light. We've had a gay equivalent in Fang for quite a few years, of course, but thanks to Casey, there is now an equivalent telling lesbian stories. With Claw Volume 2, something that I've seen her talking about that she's going to be doing on Twitter, it's making it easier in the future for lesbian authors to also have their stories told. These are among the reasons why Casey Alpenis has been nominated this year. Our second nominee for the OCIA award is Jacobe T. Lope. Jacobe has been around in the fandom since 1996 and has been working and writing that entire time. Through their blog, which is called The Writing Desk, Jacobe presents discussions on mental illness in an open and honest fashion, coming from a life history where such mental illness is stigmatized. Jacobe also writes in his blog about Afrofuturism, Buddhism, and politics in general. His honesty and through it, the advocacy he does for marginalized people, as well as his continued work writing stories from these perspectives, is why Jacobe is among our nominees. Our final nominee is Weasel. You saw him host a panel on diversity earlier. That was absolutely marvelous. Weasel is the owner and operator of Weasel Press and its imprints, Red Ferret Press and Sinister Stoat. And he has been a strong advocate for marginalized authors within the fandom for many, many years. Recently, as you may have heard at that panel, Weasel changed the submission guidelines for his press and all imprints in a way that will directly help and promote marginalized people have their stories be told. By choosing to only focus on submissions by authors of color, LGBT authors, authors with disabilities, and current or former sex workers, Weasel has taken a bold step forward for the furry writing community. This is why he is among our nominees. Now, I really wish that I could pull off an epic drum roll. I'm sorry, everyone, you're going to have to imagine the drums at home. And of course, the spotlights and the beautiful music. But the winner of the 2020 Oxfurred, Inclusivity Award is Weasel. So congratulations, Weasel. When we took a look at all three nominees, and believe me, this was actually a kind of a tough discussion. Essentially, some of the fierce work and advocacy he has done through social media and other avenues, as well as, of course, the amazing work he does through his own publishing and the stories that he tries to get told, kind of won the edge out on this one. Weasel, I promise, as soon as we can show you this awesome trophy and we can have it in our hands so that we can get it to you, we will get your information and get it sent your way. I also want to absolutely say all of these other people who are nominated are phenomenal. And I expect when we have this next year that we're going to be seeing similar names when we have public nominations, because if we don't, my mind will be blown. They're all absolutely fantastic, and I want to make sure people know this will be an ongoing thing. So, not only for these wonderful other people that you should be going and supporting in this hard work that they do, go find them on Twitter, go find them on their social media, go buy their books, but also make sure that you yourself are doing the same kind of work and advocacy where you can. As a guild, we have said this many times, but let's just say this one more time in case you've missed it. Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, and the guild is absolutely going to support marginalized authors until for some crazy reason y'all vote me out as president. And I hope they'll keep going after that. I want to thank you all for attending the award ceremony. I know that we didn't have things that were very long, and again, I just absolutely was hoping somehow by the last minute the trophy could show up in my mailbox today. This is just how it works in the age of COVID. But I really do hope, as I said before, that this will continue into the future. I want to see so many more authors be able to do things like this. I want to see books like Diversity 2 get funded on Kickstarter without any issues. I want to see all of these amazing things in the future, and I hope that we'll be able to motivate people to help raise up these marginalized voices and tell their story. And I just absolutely hope that next year we'll all be essentially fighting over the amazing nominees because there's just too many great people to try to only pick one. This is all I've got for this panel. I know we're scheduled for a half hour, but there's just limits sometimes to how long you can speak. Our next panel is going to be the Flash Fiction panel, where we get to announce the winners of that as well while reading a few stories. So stay tight, enjoy the music by Cassidy Civet, and we will be back here after a short